Hello and welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball. Today is February 7th, 2023. I'm Carl James, joined by Cassidy Palmer. We're also joined by our very special guest, Phillip Glasser, shortstop for the Hoosiers. Phillip, it's great to have you here. Thanks for joining Talking Hoosier Baseball.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Cass will get us going with the first question.
Now, Phillip, we heard you had a bit of an incident on the first official day of practice. How are you doing now?
Doing good. Just got hit in the head on one of the first pitches, but just got a couple stitches, but it's all good. They're out now, so been practicing for the whole week. So
Good
it's
to
all
hear.
good. No concussion or anything.
Yes.
Excellent. You had other options besides a fifth year of college baseball. What made you decide on another season here at Indiana?
A couple of things. One is how we finished towards the end of the season and just kind of seeing, for as up and down of a season as was last year, how we could, make a run like that. And a lot of the guys who came back, and then, like Bothwell too. It just felt like I just want to do something really special in college, and I just felt like we had the team to do it. And so I just decided to come back.
And now the D1 transfer portal is still a relatively new thing. Now that you've experienced it yourself and you've seen a new group of transfers this fall, what insights do you have about the process of transferring as a D1 athlete?
Yeah, it's kind of, there's a lot of players that's been in the portal last 2 years. I think it's like 2,000 or 3,000. So it's definitely a lot of players to transfer, and obviously it moves quick. Usually in high school you have like 2 to 3 years to decide, and when you hit that portal, it's about 1 to 2 months. Like it feels like each week you're in it, it's like 6 months. So it definitely moves fast. There's a lot of colleges that try to get a lot of players, so it can be pretty overwhelming at first.
Except for Tyler Dones, every starter in this position player group is back. In your eyes, what are the advantages of that kind of continuity?
Yeah, I think before a season, you kind of know, what guys are like, but once you go through a whole season with them and seeing, them when they're up and then when they're down, and what they respond to, them a lot better. I think that really helps your team chemistry overall as a team. And so just being with those guys last year and going through everything, and then going in this year, we just have a whole nother year of knowing each other. And, that just plays with like the little things like communication or how to talk to each other, what kind of throw this guy likes, what does he like to do. And so it goes a very long way.
And kind of going off of that, we know the position player group had some very clear successes last season, but the team as a whole kind of started to struggle that middle portion. And by the end, when things were improving on the mound, the team was really clicking and doing well. As one of the few experienced position players coming in, what was your role in that kind of turnaround?
Yeah, it was, obviously we had a lot of young guys on the position player side. But, they did a great job. Obviously, Josh Pine, Brock Tibbetts, Carter Masson, they all did, very well. They're super mature. And so just really just whatever advice they needed before the season, during the season, to kind of, make the downs not as bad, and, kind of handle, the success, because it's such a long season. Just playing high school baseball, you get like 20, 30 games, and obviously college is about double that. So just I remember when I was younger, I'd always try to listen, to the older guys. I had a lot of older teammates that gave me a lot of advice. So I didn't necessarily had to go through what they had to go through in terms of failure or bad experiences, rather than just listening to them and applying that.
And what was it like so you were new to the program last year, but not new to college baseball. What was that like being both the veteran and one of the new guys all at the same time?
Yeah, it's definitely tough at first, because you do have a lot of experience, but obviously you're in a whole new locker room with a lot of players. But I think just learning what guy who guys are, and building relationships as fast as you can is the best way to kind of overcome that, not being there for 2 or 3 years, as a lot of returners are.
I'd kind of like to expand a little bit on something you just said. One of the prior questions here. You were talking about, the freshmen going from 20 to 30 game seasons to 50 to 60 game seasons, but also that rough patch was pretty rough.
Yeah.
What was your role in helping to kind of guide them through to the point at which they were able to have as much success as they did in May?
Yeah, so obviously the first thing is when you're kind of going through it, you kind of lose one main thing, that's perspective. And so obviously when we were going through that rough patch, it would have been easy to say like, oh, the season's over, like just throw the towel in, and it seems like everything's just crashing down. But obviously the thing that a lot of people lose is like we still had 20 plus games, whatever it was at the time, and just it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when we were going to figure it out overall and start clicking as a team. And then obviously end up happening, and we had a good last couple of weeks there.
So kind of a hypothetical coming into the new season. You guys are leaving Auburn and are feeling good about the first weekend. What happened to make that success in your eyes?
I think we went down there and we competed as a group. Obviously, I think we're very prepared this year. We've been outside a lot. Just going down there and competing and playing our best game. Really, it doesn't really matter who we're playing. It just matters if we play our game. You play against the baseball, right? So it doesn't necessarily matter whose jersey it is. It just matters about as soon as it leaves the pitcher's hand, it's the baseball you got to hit, and it's the baseball you got to field and throw across to first base. So just kind of keeping that attitude for this year, and being very consistent with that, I think it's going to really help this team.
You mentioned that you've been outside a bit more because obviously we've had some unseasonably warm weather here in southern Indiana. How important is that? I mean, obviously you guys have access to pretty nice indoor facilities. What are the real advantages to being able to practice outside versus having to be indoors?
Yeah, so indoors we do have a very nice facility, but obviously it's not scaled as a baseball field. So some of those plays, that's hit to the outfield, maybe like for like just small things like cuts and relays, and just kind of pop-up communication. That's the other big one. You don't necessarily get inside, and just having that overall feel of like being outside and like being in like an actual scrimmage and like an actual game. It's a huge advantage. Obviously both the teams I play for in college are up north, and so luckily this year we have been outside basically the whole month compared to last year. So I think it's really helped us grow. Obviously, looking back at where we were 2 weeks ago versus now, we've grown a lot just from being outside and just playing against each other.
And is there a particular pitcher, team, game, series that you're looking forward to particularly?
Not necessarily, just whatever the next one is. So
I like that. I
yeah.
think that's my favorite answer so far.
I did have one question that I'm just going to this one comes off the top of my head. Now you had obviously a few years at Youngstown State, and then now you're in your second year at Indiana. Has there been a big change in your mechanics and your swing coming between those two programs?
Yeah, I'd say if you looked at my Youngstown State swing versus my swing now, it's like night and day. That's one of the big things that they sold me on when I was in the portal, and obviously they develop hitters. Just look at our lineup. They do an excellent job with swings and decision making and everything that goes into it, and that's like one of the strongest parts of Indiana. So I was very fortunate to make a right choice in that area, and they really followed through with it.
And Carl must have read my mind, because I was about to go that same direction of last year you were among the most consistent producers at the plate. Have there been any changes going on this fall and early this spring?
For swing wise?
Yeah. Swing or general approach, or
yeah, probably just maybe some tweaks here and there based on last year. Obviously when you had a whole new swing, I had a whole new swing last year. So obviously you don't make adjustments as fast when you change your whole swing, game to game. But now just having a whole nother year of it and, working with, Coach Weatherford, Coach Simmons and Coach Mercer and them knowing my swing from last year too, I think it helps you be more consistent. So in that area, probably consistency is the best thing.
But how are you able to be so successful with such a dramatic change?
I think the biggest thing is once you decide like, hey, we're gonna like totally change your swing and because of this, this, and this. And it was tough because I did have success with it, but I also, trusted them or I wouldn't have came to Indiana. And obviously, they've developed really good hitters and so I just totally believed in them. And so once you obviously you got to trust the process. I know that's pretty cliche, but it's you have to understand that you're gonna have some down days at first and up and down days and you're not going to be as consistent as you used to be. But if you keep that perspective of in the long run, hey, this is like where we're going to get to, and this is what it's going to look like here, you just got to deal with ups and downs. Then if you just keep that mindset, then you really don't have a problem. It's kind of like when you just get caught in between like one thing or the other, that's when guys kind of don't do as well.
There's obviously a very good chance you're going to still be playing baseball after your time at Indiana. Is that a part of this as well, that development piece?
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. Just being more consistent, getting the bat to the ball better and, obviously shorter and just impacting the ball better.
And so do you have any personal goals for the season or any expectations?
No, I never really put any personal goals on it, and especially not this year because I just came back just so we can, win the Big Ten and then, go to the regional and, win there too. So whatever it's going to take, just probably my only personal goal is just to be, the consistent player and consistent person, I am day in and day out in order for this team to win and be successful.
So what are your thoughts? Obviously a lot of the personnel change in the program has been around the pitching side. You've got 4 pitchers, and you already mentioned Ty Bothwell that's coming back from last year's team plus the 3 freshmen. But other than that, you've got a whole bunch of new pitchers. What have your interactions with that pitching staff have been like? What has it been like to hit against that group of pitchers?
Yeah, so first I think they've done a great job, trusting Coach Glant and Coach Mercer with everything that they're teaching. The first thing when they came to campus, obviously as a transfer last year, I wanted to make sure, they're acclimated well and, really hit the ground running. So especially as a middle infielder, knowing your pitchers and just knowing, how to talk to them throughout a game is something that's very important. So just really starting off right there with building relationships with them. And then throughout the fall and, into the spring, the thing I really like most about this staff is even if they do get hit, they just come right back in the zone and compete. And it's kind of been the motto, throughout the whole fall and, spring that it doesn't matter. We're willing to lose a game if, a team just out hits us or something, but we're not going to lose the game because we're timid or not competing in the strike zone. And I think that's a, general philosophy. And I think all those guys, have that mindset.
And has there been anyone that you've faced amongst the new or newer guys who you're like, ooh, I'm real glad that I don't have to face them for real? Has anyone stood out?
Yeah. There's been a lot of guys. I'll probably say, the main transfers that kind of came in, like Luke Sennard, Gabe Levy, Ben Seiler, and those 3 guys, they're obviously experienced. They're going to be the most experienced besides Bothwell on the staff. And, I know Seiler's got a lot of innings from Siena and so is Levy from Davidson. And obviously Seti and Luke Sennard from Western Kentucky, all those guys are really going to, they're just mature. They're mature people. So I think they have really cool heads and they'll be able to, lead the pitching staff.
So is there any, in your time at IU so far, has there been any favorite social events, things that you've done with the team off of campus that that's been memorable for you?
I'd probably say the main one is, going to, Assembly Hall and watching, our basketball team playing. It's a pretty special environment over there. And, it's pretty crazy. Obviously you don't get that barely anywhere else in the country. So I'd have to say that one.
It's a good pick.
Yeah.
And continuing off the field, what are you studying while you're at IU, and what are your future eventual post playing baseball plans?
Yeah. So right now I'm about 10 days away from finishing my certificate in cybersecurity and risk management. And then, after baseball, whenever that is, probably something, towards there in the finance side.
Cool. I don't think that's one that we've heard before.
Yeah. It's not a common one.
All right. Are there any particular things that we have not covered in this discussion that you would like Indiana fans to know about ahead of the season?
No, I think we covered about everything. Just super excited. 10 days. So
yeah,
super excited how this group's gonna compete down there.
Excellent. Yep. Cass and I and the rest of our group will be there. So we're also very excited to see you guys take the field and see how well that competition goes in that opening weekend. So thank you very much for being a Hoosier and for letting us get a chance to watch you play ball.
No, absolutely. I appreciate, all the support you guys give us and the media coverage and everything. It means a lot to us.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, I'd like to thank our guest, Phillip Glasser, for joining Talking Hoosier Baseball. That will wrap up this edition. We still have a few more interviews that we'll be conducting over the final group of days before the preseason gets underway. And IUBase.com will have lots of coverage from Auburn at the end of next week. So it's getting close. It's getting excited. Phillip, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Cassidy.
Yep.
Thank you.
For Cassidy Palmer, I'm Carl James. See you at the BART.